Like Dragons, I am back. So I am here to do my most disappointing books of the year. And I'm just gonna do it because I've always done this video, and honestly, like, it's just for me to like kind of see like where my thought is. And a lot of these books are not bad. They're just not Laura books. I'm gonna start with the two that like are most disappointing, that I was like really like disappointed in, and then I'm just gonna talk about books that I just don't think were me books. Like, they're not like the worst books. Like, I probably gave most of these like 3 stars, but a lot of them just did not hit for whatever reason. So the first book that I'm gonna kind of chat through is Otherworldly by F.T. Lukens. I will attach a photo of this book here. Read most of their books and I have liked all of them. They're normally LGBTQ plus romances. This book just was really like confusing, and it really was one of my first books of the year that I just did not like. I think I gave this book 2 stars. It's been so long, I don't really remember it, but I know there was like a winter setting and there was like 2 worlds, and I just was like, I don't care. Yeah, you're gonna know a lot of these were just boring, or like I didn't care, and that was kind of my vibes in 2025. I was picking up weird books because I really did switch my reading habits. So with some of these that I was reading, I was like, should have I been listening to it? Would that have been better? So I don't know. It just was boring to me and I didn't really enjoy it. So that is where that book went. And then another book that really kind of disappointed me was Our Infinite Faints by Laura Stephen. I will attach a photo of that book here as well. Boring. I felt like I wasn't understanding like what it was, and like it was basically these 2 characters and they were always like basically had to kill each other, and they would basically lead to each other's death, and then there was this one life that these 2 characters were in, and then the girl had to stay alive because she had to save her sister's life in this world, but they were reincarnated. It gave me Addie LaRue vibes, but like I just was not. I will say this about another book that like everyone loved this year. If I don't feel invested in the storytelling, like if I don't feel invested in the storyline, I didn't feel invested in these characters' love story. And I think that that was the detriment to this story for me. So yeah, that is the 2 books that I was, oh, and then another one that I think it was just more of like a format thing. I struggled a little bit with Brood with Love by Shelley Page. I will attach that book here. Pitched to me as a cozy fantasy, and I think it more was a cozy fantasy mystery, and I wish I would have listened to it. Like, I'm reading one now that like is a lot, just it's a little bit stronger and it's really more fantasy leading, and I like that book a little bit more. This book I just struggled with it, and I felt like I should have been, it was like a contemporary book with like some supernatural elements. And I think that it was just too contemporary for me to be physically reading, so that's why it was a little bit of a disappointment. Oh my god, I read it so long ago, but I think it was about a girl, and there was like thefts happening at a shop, and she kind of fell in love with the person she was working with, and it was okay. It just wasn't fast paced enough, I guess. That's what it was. It wasn't fast paced enough. It was very, very slow paced. I should have been listening to it. So yeah. I'm so hesitant to put this book. Okay, so this one book I'm very, very hesitant because I know that everyone has been loving it. But there's a category. There's a category. So the next set of books is translated fiction that did not work for me. So the first book that didn't work for me is Welcome to the Humdrum Bookshop. I will attach a photo of that book here. Book just didn't hit for me. I think it was too lit fic, and it just, like, when I'm reading something about books, there needs to be a romance, there needs to be a mystery, and there was nothing pulling me forward, and I think I just don't like lit fic. There really needs to be a plot point pushing me forward, and this was just too, like, day-to-day for me, and I just was a little bit bored. So that's why this is on this list, but I really struggled with this one a little bit. And then the other book that I read was The Delicate Dream Department Store. I will attach a photo of that book here. Book. It just was too slow paced, too day to day. There wasn't a plot for me to really connect to. And I will say, when I read cozy fantasy or cozy books, I need to have a plot in this missed the plot mark just a little bit for me. So yeah. And then, oh my god, all right, people are gonna hate me. Don't hate me in this comment. These next couple of books, this book specifically is just not a Laura book. This is not the worst book ever written. I actually think it's beautifully written. The story is perfect, I think, if you like this type of story. But I don't think the Hunger Games saga is for me. So I'm going to put Sunrise and the Reaping on this list. So sorry, Suzanne Collins. So sorry, all the people that loved it. I don't think the Hunger Games is a book series for me. I just don't think they are. I think that, like, going into this book, I knew how Haymitch stories end, and I just felt so disconnected from everything. Like, nothing kicked me in the emotions, like, at all. The end, maybe a little bit, but I just was, like, so disaffected because I knew everyone was gonna die. Like, that's kind of the vibe of that story. And because of that, I just didn't care. That was kind of where it came from. Like, I just didn't care about the characters enough, and I wanted to, but I also knew they were all gonna die. So it was a very, very conflicting reading experience. So don't hate me. I mean, I liked listening to it. It was fine, but it wasn't that memorable. Okay? And I read it for the Goodreads Choice Awards. I know it's on everyone's Best Books of the Year list. Unfortunately, it's just not a Laura book, and that is okay. The next book we're going to chat about is actually sort of a surprising one. It's The Honey Crisp Orchard Inn by Valerie Bowman. I will attach a photo of that book here. I read books by this author before. I read her historical romances and really did like them. This book just had like a weird writing style, and she kind of goes home. It's like a small town contemporary romance set in the fall, and she kind of goes home to help her parents in. She's very obsessed with, like, her parents getting dementia, and it's, like, chronically mentioned in the text, and it just was, like, very, like, jarring. I just didn't like that. It just was, like, constantly reminding, and the character was, like, not memorable. I didn't like her that much, so I didn't like this one. I only gave this book 3 stars. I wouldn't recommend it. The fall vibes were fine, but the romance wasn't really captivating me. Maybe it's because I didn't really like the main character. And then we have a cozy fantasy that I didn't really work with me, and that is Behooved. I will switch photo of that book here. Another cozy book that I struggle to care. Like, I think it's more of, like, the plot was slow and there really was nothing going on, and I really struggled to feel connected to these characters. So that is why it's on this list, and I read this book so long ago, I just don't have a memory of anything about this book, and that's really what these are. These books were just boring to me, and they didn't make that big of an impression on me. Another one that I just didn't like as much as I was hoping, The Underachiever's A Guide to Love and Saving the World by Sloane Brooks. I will attach a photo of this book here. I should have listened to, because it was very, very bantery. It was very, very funny. I think I should have listened to this book, but reading it was a slog. It was one of my Comic-Con books for 2025 that I got, and I'm just like, I'm happy I read it because it's off the TBR, but it was a slog to read. And I think it may have been in that time when I was really struggling with focus, but I was struggling with this book, to be very honest. Okay. So the next book that I didn't love was Dragonborn by Strunt Murray. I finished this because I just want to share it with my students, and it just was not a middle grade fantasy that I like. I just struggled to feel connected to the characters. I didn't like the world, so that is why that one is on this list. A little bit disappointing. It did have a female lead, which I did like. It did deal with some interesting topics, but it's not very, very memorable. I wouldn't recommend it. And then another mystery that I read was The Whisperwood Legacy by Joe Schultz. It wasn't that memorable. Like, it just wasn't. It wasn't a very, very memorable read. It had characters that I really didn't like. I didn't really care about the twist either, which is really, really sad. So that is why this book wound up on the list. But again, I read these so long ago, and I just don't have a memory, and that's why, because they were kind of boring. So yeah, that's where we are with that. And then I also read The Witches of Dubious Origin by Jem McKinley. I will attach a photo. audiobook that like nothing happened. Like it was just another boring listen and I just was bored. So that is why it's on this list, just because I don't have like thoughts about it. Like it just was a book that existed and it wasn't like a bad, like I don't have any thoughts about it. When I was putting together this, I'm like, that has to go there because I don't really remember anything. It was potentially cool. Maybe it was my focus. Maybe these books are incredible and it was my focus at the moment, but I did not like that book. So unfortunately. And then another book that was just a little bit boring was A Grim Reaper's Guide to Catching Killers by Maxine Dara. I will touch a photo of this book here. This is just another book that really was just had like no premise. I don't know. Maybe these are the books that just didn't capture me. Maybe I was in like a weird mood, but none of these books really worked. The only book that I could argue like is a good book is Sunrise on the Reaping, because Suzanne Collins is such an amazing author. The book was readable. I think it had a lot of plot points, but I just failed to get invested because I knew the ending. And I think that even though I knew the ending, the end of that book did get me a little bit, but Sunrise on the Reaping is not a Laura book. So I am a happy optimist, and if I'm in a depressing book, I get very, very sad. So that is my worst books of the year. Let me know in the comments if you have read any of these, if you want to read them. Don't kill me for my Sunrise on the Reaping comments. I know it's a popular book, but it just didn't work for me, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye, book friends.